good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host, and you guys are not going to believe who I have on the show today. This woman is an absolute rock star, world traveler, speaker. I mean, she's got it going on. I want to welcome my friend, Jessica Higdon, to the show. Welcome to the show, Jess.
Thank you so much, Kim, for having me on. I'm really excited to be here.
I am too. As you know, I think very highly of you and your husband. You guys are amazing, and you've accomplished some things in life that a lot of people dream about accomplishing, and most people never get there. And that's kind of why I created this show. I dreamed of I dreamed many years of making it, and then I realized there's some key elements that were missing. So I want you to be able to share your story today. So let's talk about, start with where you were born and raised.
I was born and raised in your neck of the woods of Cleveland, just outside of Cleveland, Ohio. And I know people think Cleveland, and we were just talking about this actually. Yeah. They think Cleveland and they think, either dirty city or farmland. It's one or the other. But actually, Ohio is a beautiful state, and I grew up in the suburbs of Cleveland in a town called Chagrin Falls. Still make it up there every once in a while. And just outside of that is where I went to school in Shaker Heights. So if there's any Shaker Heights people out there, I went to school there until high school, and then my parents moved down here to Florida full time. And that's where we are now currently. So loving it here in Southwest Florida.
And you moved to Florida after high school?
Just going into high school. So my parents had vacationed down here, as many snowbirds do every winter. And they brought me down. They were like, we're sick of the cold. We're moving down to Florida. So they just said, we don't care if you don't want to go to a new high school. You're going. Yeah. And, but of course I loved it. So.
Right. So, interesting. And for anyone who's never experienced this, I highly don't really recommend it, but I'm a Steelers fan. Sorry. If you're a Browns fan.
Yeah, I don't recommend that either.
Yeah, right. Well, I was invited to a Browns game one time, and I went to, and it's at the new stadium. Mm-hmm. And whoever engineered that whole thought process did not really put a lot of thought into it, because the stadium literally sits on Lake Erie, and the wind that comes off of that it's insane. It's absolutely crazy. So,
yeah,
I was sitting there almost dying of frostbite, and it was insane. But I don't recommend that in the middle of the winter, because Cleveland gets cold.
Yeah. They, as far as our football goes, they don't really put a lot of thought into anything. Now, basketball and baseball, we're good, but football, we got to work on that one.
Yeah. Well, hey, they actually did pretty well this year.
Yeah, they're not doing bad.
They tied the Steelers.
Yeah.
In one game. That was pretty good. So you grew up primarily as a child in the Cleveland area, which Cleveland is a beautiful city. My wife and I were just up there a few months ago for a convention up right next to the stadium. Actually, it's just such a beautiful city, and history is the history of it's incredible. But and then you ended up in Florida at the beginning of high school. That had to be an interesting transition.
Yeah, it's interesting because I went to an all-girls school my whole life. So my whole life, from pre-K through high school, I was at an all-girls school, and then I moved down here to a totally new state, knew everything, and it was co-ed. So I didn't know how to talk to boys. I didn't know really how to socialize in a co-ed school. So it was definitely a transition. But it's interesting you asked me about this, because not many people do on an interview. So this is kind of cool. But I think now, thinking about that, that really helped me to learn how to interact with people, in the business world too, because I really had to grow up a little faster, transitioning into a new school. I had to meet all new people. And like I said, going from only being around girls for most of my life to now boys too, showed me how to really step it up in the conversation game.
Did you have any like resentment about it at all? Like, I can't believe we're moving and I'm going into high school and like.
At first, I mean, my friends threw me a big going away party and I was like bawling my eyes out because, that's everything at that age. You're so dramatic and your hormones are crazy. And so it's like you have no perspective, right? But I was like so upset. But then when we got down here, honestly, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I think just everybody was really friendly. Florida's a great area and the weather, you can't beat it. So I did pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I think, it has to be miserable going, with 70-degree, 80-degree weather in the middle of the winter and having to go to the beach and all that. That's terrible.
Yeah. Awful to have the beach 15 minutes away. Terrible.
I see you and Ray's, I follow you guys on Instagram and like, I'm like, it's freezing here. Like literally today school was canceled because of an ice storm last night. It's like
it's a different planet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. But so you ended up in Florida. Did you end up going to college?
I did. I went to college down here. I went to UCF for a couple of years. UCF is University of Central Florida. It's located in Orlando. And I had a little too much fun in Orlando for college. So I actually had to transfer back to Southwest Florida and finish out at FGCU, Florida Gulf Coast University, for a little bit. So I would have to say that I really valued my partying more than my school and my academics.
I thought you meant like you were going to Disney World way too much.
Well, if you're a local there, you know that SeaWorld has the best beer. It's the coldest beer in Orlando. And so, yeah, I mean, we mixed park fun with party fun, and it was not good. So you could do stuff all during the day and skip your classes and then at night. And so, yeah, if I had to do it over, I'd be a little more serious about it.
Right. Well, did you end up graduating then? Or?
I did. I graduated with decent grades. I mean, I had, I think, like a 3.5. So I did pretty good. Yeah. I graduated with a marketing degree.
Okay. Very cool. And so that you came out of college with a marketing degree, and immediately started applying it. Did you get a job in marketing?
So, no, I got my marketing degree, and at the time I was working at a makeup counter while trying to get my degree. And I was also doing freelance for weddings, like trying to do a makeup business on the side on the weekends. And, so I was very, very busy. And then I got my marketing degree, and all while I was doing all of this, trying to study up, get my degree, work, I was going on interviews. And so I went on about 15 interviews for marketing positions. And what I realized was I would start at minimum wage. There was very little room for growth. A lot of what I was passionate about in marketing, I wouldn't actually be using really. And in maybe 10 years, I would get a raise, possibly, if I, really worked my behind off with the company and so on and so forth. So right out of school, I actually knew that wasn't the path that I wanted to take, and that I wanted to do more of an entrepreneurial path at that point. Wow.
And so did you, sorry, somebody said my microphone. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody said my microphone's super low. So you were interviewing. Did you take a job anywhere or?
No, I didn't. I got offered several positions.
Wow.
And I just stayed with the makeup company that I was working with. And I decided actually within a year of getting my marketing degree that I wanted to go into network marketing. So, I didn't take any positions. I realized how hard I was working already, going to school with 40 plus hours a week of that, and then working 40 plus hours a week and doing freelance work. and I was still broke. I was flat broke. I was not making any money above what I could pay for my expenses. And so I realized that again wasn't the path I wanted to take, and wanted to find a different model. And network marketing actually just kind of fell into my lap.
Okay, so I'm sorry, but like, how did your parents, did they pay for your college?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to open up Pandora's box. So
Yep.
like, they had to be really, really proud and excited.
Oh, they were thrilled. They were thrilled. So here's the thing about my dad. He is a businessman, very successful, very strategic, and very analytical. And so he was not happy when I came to him with, hey, I'm going to not do anything in marketing for a little while, and I'm going to try out this whole pyramid thing, as he thought it was, right? So he, you could kind of see his face. He was shocked, and like, what happened to my sweet little girl that went to an all-girls school, and now she's off the rails and doing some scam or whatever she's doing. So, but again, he's very smart. So he knew that if he told me, no, you're not doing that I would just find a way to do it behind his back anyway, because that's just the way it was. So he said, okay, I'm going to give you 6 months to get this many people on your team. Okay. And so he actually charted out like a spreadsheet for me of, hey, if you get this many, this is how much money you'll be making. So I'm going to give you 6 months. If you get this many, it wasn't a huge amount of people, but if you start to build a team and make some income, then we'll extend it. And after a year and a half, if you've started to build a business, then okay. If not, you're going to go out and you're going to find a job. And I was like, okay, deal. So I went out and I started doing it wrong, talking to friends and family, telling them it was the best thing ever, that they're going to make millions of dollars, and nobody believed me. I didn't really even know what I was selling. I didn't understand the model fully. I just knew I saw people that were less smart than me making more money, and that it could work. So for 6 months, I didn't sign up a single person.
In 6 months?
In 6 months, I didn't sign up a single person. So I went back to my dad and I renegotiated.
Yeah, I think that's called manipulation, but I have 2 daughters, so I know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what that's like.
Definitely.
So definitely manipulation, but I'll call it renegotiation for purposes of this interview. And he let me have another 6 months. And what happened in that next 6 months was I found social media. I started using Facebook. And the cool thing about social media is that you can be whoever you want to be. And I don't mean that means you can, show off Lambos that aren't yours and $1 million checks and all this crazy stuff that people think is, showing authority or whatever.
Right.
I mean, you can be confident. People don't know your background. You can be the person you truly are inside on social media. And so being so young, I love social media because people didn't have to know all those things about me, about, hey, I'm still just working at a makeup counter and all that stuff.
Right.
I found my way and things started working out.
So, okay, first off, I have a million questions. I'm only going to ask a couple of them. But I got to say, because I understand network marketing pretty well, I've got to give your dad some massive props. Holy moly. Like, this isn't even a guy that was in network marketing. But he intuitively knew he had to set a goal, he had to set a number, and he had to push you to reach it. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a brilliant guy for sure. And I didn't appreciate it in high school when he used to make me do spreadsheets for my homework, but I definitely appreciate it now.
There's a dear friend of mine is on here named Sherry Matthews, and she's very analytical. I mean, incredibly analytical, and it's served her well in life, as a matter of fact. But she says, "Go, Dad," because I know it's exactly up her alley. But so he laid this out, and so the second set of 6 months, things changed.
yes, things changed. So I started getting recruits. I started getting customers. And, of course, he didn't understand network marketing like you mentioned. So
Right.
he put, oh, you'll get two, who get two, who get two, who get two, who get two. It's like this perfect, pyramid that works itself out perfectly. And now you have 5,000 people. Why don't you have 10,000 people already?
Right.
So
Right.
but it started turning around, and within 18 months, so 6 months, no one, 12 months after that, after getting into a routine, I had my first $10,000 month in that company, and then started making six figures, and then became the number one female income earner of that company at 23 years old.
Oh
So,
my gosh. Holy moly. At 23?
yep, at 23.
Now, what was more important, Dad's spreadsheets or social media?
I would say social media for sure. Although it was fascinating to see how the multiplier effect works, right? In any business, it's that book, The Tipping Point. It's so true. You have a certain number of people that get into your business, and all of a sudden you start multiplying instead of adding. Yeah. And it is amazing how that works.
I literally, my 8-year-old's home from school today because school's closed. Like they closed it literally. And
I won't open my windows for you.
yeah, please don't. But so she says she's working on math. I go, why do you look so upset? And she's like, Mommy's making me work on math. And I go, focus on multiplication. Don't focus on all the other stuff.
Right. Addition, no way.
She's like, I like subtraction. I'm like, no, multiplication. So you became the number one female income earner in that company at 23 years old, which means you probably were making a crazy amount, probably more money than Dad. I'm just kidding. But
no, not more money than Dad, but
right.
Definitely for a 23-year-old, multiple six figures was definitely a lot of money at that time.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Still is a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. For anybody.
Sure.
Just about. So you got to this super high level in that company, and that's it? You lived happily ever after?
No, I was dating my husband now at the time, and we had two separate positions. And so we actually, once we got married, we decided to combine our positions and do some training. So people were asking me left and right, how'd you do this on social media? How'd you do it? How'd you do it? How'd you do it? And so I was just doing free videos, just teaching people what I did, how I talked to people online, things like that. And over time, people started asking me for a course. And for a while, I was resistant to it because I had so much free training out there that I thought, why would people ever buy a course? Like, there's so much information out there. But at the end of the day, I realized that if you take that information and you organize it and you make people pay for it, have something on the line that they are invested in, invest in themselves, they treat it with more respect and they actually follow it and see results. So I created my first course, and Ray at the time had some courses out there that were doing pretty well. And so I created my first course, and that course did it's crazy. It did like $850,000 within a week. And
hold on, wait. Say that again.
Yeah, that course did $850,000 within a week. Since then, it's done a couple $1 million in sales.
Wow.
And I honestly, like, I say that and I still pinch myself because I had no idea. My goal, which for a lot of people, this goal would be huge for you. My goal was $50,000. Like, that's what I want to make from doing a course. And it just blew me away at the demand. So many people wanted to know, okay, how do you do this? And the better part of that story is we got literally thousands of amazing testimonials of people seeing success on social media. So that was really cool. And Ray and I decided we were with a different company at that time. Our first company, we never left our first company. They actually merged into another company.
Yeah.
And we were building that and also training. And we decided that our focus really should be on our coaching and training because it took a lot of our time and it was taking it away from our team, and that wasn't fair to them. And so really we can make a bigger impact being coaches and trainers. And so we actually sold our position to our upline in that company who took great care of the team. And now that's what we focus on full time.
Wow. I can't get over the $850,000 in 1 week. Like, that's insane. Most people can't relate to that.
I know. That's why I say, 10 years ago, if you had asked me if I'd be sharing these stories on the interview, I would have said, what are you, high?
Right. Right. I just threw a beer bottle at Shamu. What are you talking about?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I'm kidding.
So partiers, you guys can make it in this world too.
Right.
But
right. You can.
For the record, I would never throw a beer bottle at Shamu, but we did have some fun.
I'm just teasing.
But yeah,
wow.
It just shows that if you get the right people involved and the demand is high and you have something that can really serve a lot of people and help a lot of people, you can make anything work. And don't ever cap on what you feel your potential is, especially with money. Yeah. And that's one thing that we've learned in a big way over the past 10 years is never put a cap on your own potential with money. You just never know when that big idea is going to come. And if you take the action steps for it, it could be huge for you.
So what about, I know a lot of people, including myself. I've done a ridiculous amount of network marketing companies. I sold for a, I can mention the company name. I mean, I sold for an Amway distributor when I was 17 years old. He asked me to sell these water purification systems. And I'm like, sure, dude, how much do I make? And it was like an ungodly amount of money. And I'm like, okay. So I did it and I did well. But I didn't really understand what network marketing was until later, but I've done very well with some. And there's, as you already know, there are people that bounce around from company to company, right? And I've seen it. You get into a company and they say, oh, the pay is this, and then they change it and they go, oh, well, no, we're going to actually pay this now. And so it gets a little complicated, and I understand why people move. But for the people who say, and I have a response for this, but I want to hear what you say. For the people that say, look, I've tried that before. I've done like 5 or 10 different network marketing companies, and none of them ever seem to work out. I'm really not interested in doing looking at another opportunity. What do you say to them?
So for that person, I would just ask them, if you don't change what you're doing currently, how is your future life going to be different? And most of the time they don't have an answer for that. They don't know they don't have a plan. They don't know what's going to change.
Right.
So for me, I looked at 10 years down the road, if I get this marketing job and I work my behind off and I possibly get a raise, what am I going to be making and what's my life going to be like versus if I just try this out and really go at it and see what the possibilities are. In a couple of years, the possibilities are endless. And so you never dictate your future success on your past experiences,
right?
Because people are different, that the product is different, and you have to be different, which is the number one thing. And as long as you recognize that you are reborn today and today is the first day of your business,
right, then
you'll totally have a different experience.
And I think it works with, my response is like, did you like ever ask a girl or a guy out and they said no? Did you stop when they said no? I mean, did you never? I mean, like, there's got to be, that's just life. It's like learning how to walk. Tony Robbins talks about that. Like, you don't give up just because you fell down a few times, So anyway, I think that there's something that holds people back. And I know people, you know people that have maybe not minimum wage jobs, but have, $20 an hour jobs, or they're waiting tables for the last 10 years and they can't figure anything else out. Colleges are putting out kids with degrees every single year now that can't find work in their field. Yeah. Right? I mean, what do you say to those people that's keeping them stuck in those low paying places in life when you know that they want more? What do you say?
Well, are you asking what I say to the person who wants more, or the people that's keeping them there?
Right. Well, what's keeping them stuck? What do you think is keeping them stuck? Let's start there.
I think they don't think big enough, plain and simple. Most people don't think that, $1 million in a month is possible for them, or even $10,000 in a month is possible for them. They don't think big enough. And so I know this is cliche, but you've got to get around different people. Yeah. So as soon as we started getting around people that, and for some of you, this is like mind blowing, but $200 million businesses was no big deal. As soon as we started getting around people like that, our whole mindset shifted like, oh my gosh, this is peanuts, making, honestly, in this world that we live in today and the possibilities, making 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 a month, that's peanuts compared to what you can do. And so you've got to get around people that think like that. I'll tell you a quick story. This is actually Ray's story, but it's so powerful. He was meeting with one of our prior mentors, and mentorship, very, very important. So important. So he was meeting with one of our prior mentors, and he said, and Ray asked him a question. He said, hey, do you follow, this guy or this guy or this guy, all the people that Ray was following? And he goes, and the mentor, he stops and he says, Ray, I try not to follow those people because they're only making like between 6 and 10 million a year. And that was a huge mind shift for him. Like, wow, this guy thinks so big that 6 to 10 million a year is nothing. Like I just don't want to. And he had built $200 million companies previously. So you've got to get around the right people, get mentorship, and get around people that are going to lift you up, not tear you down, because that environment can be toxic.
Yes. Amen. Wow. You're right. You are right. When I changed the people I was hanging out with, my life changed dramatically. So wow, that's probably the most powerful statement that's been made on the show. Change who you're hanging out with. Ray didn't tell that story when
See, that's why you have me.
I know. He would say, yeah, she's always helping me make up for my losses. But I love the story about...
For sure.
Yeah, I love the story about you paying his bills, and he was just, at the end of his rope, and everything changed. But so, network marketing has been incredibly good for you, and for Ray. And I know you guys have the Rank Makers. Why don't you talk a little bit about Rank Makers and the training and coaching that you do? Because I think I think it's incredible what you guys have done.
Well, thank you so much. So, Rank Makers is and you're a member now.
Yes,
so excited to have you as a member.
I am.
Rank Makers is our private Facebook community where my husband or myself, usually my husband, goes in there every day and gives a training and an action step. And we do recognition, rewards, prizes. So it's really like what we tried to create was the way that we would run a network marketing team, just a fervent community network marketing team within a training space. So you can go in there. It's a safe space, ask your questions. And really the power of it is every single day you know what to do. So I think there's a lot of noise online right now, a lot of different courses, a lot of things out there, which most of them are phenomenal. But if you don't know how to put it all together and what to do that day, you're never going to get to that next level. So we created Rank Makers for that action step, as well as this community and support that we just love, and they all love one another. So Rank Makers is currently closed, but I'll give you a secret tip, if you go to rankmakers.com, you can get on the waiting list and be the first to know when it opens.
That's absolutely incredible. And I think it's awesome what you guys have done. And there's like 13,500 people in it or something insane. Like, that's crazy. That's insane. So I was just sitting here thinking, I'm drawing a blank now. Like, my mind is I'm still stuck on 850,000 in 1 week from a brand new course that you released. Like, that just blows my mind. Like, people, like I said, people can't relate to that. But like, when you have, go ahead, you were going to say something.
Yeah. So one thing I should preface there is if you're brand new in business, you watching this, no matter how big your mindset is, if you launched a course or you started a network marketing company tomorrow, you're not going to do 850,000 in sales unless you spent a boatload on, $1 million on advertising, or you got, Taylor Swift to promote you or whatever. Right. Just to preface, we put in a lot of work previous to that of building our audience, providing a lot of free content and free value to people, building a team, building a community where people knew, liked, and trusted us.
Right.
So when we did provide something that was needed in the marketplace, they took advantage of it right away.
And I literally did a live stream about that last night. I won a trip on Grant Cardone's jet. And I did a live stream about how it happened. A lot of stuff went into that before a lot, I gave a lot to other people for free. So people need to understand that. I appreciate you prefacing that, because you're right. 1,000% right. So with the, and I know that Ray's, I don't know if you've ever been in this position. I think Ray's probably been in this. I know I have, and that is, and I ask this on every interview, and I'm going to go ahead and ask you. I normally save it for the end, but I think this would be good. If somebody hit you up and said, Jess, my electric's being shut off tomorrow, and it wasn't your boyfriend. Let's preface that, right? Right. Because you may have bailed him out a couple of times, it sounds like. But, my electric's being shut off tomorrow. My car got repoed last week. My dog died. Everything's going wrong. I don't know what to do. I can't feed my kids. I'm falling apart, and I just don't know where to turn. What do you say to that person? Because you and I know that it starts right here, but what do you say to them in that moment to get them over that hump and through that situation?
I would say get excited, because something amazing is about to come. After our biggest breakdowns and our lowest points, there's nowhere to go but up, and we have our biggest breakthroughs. And that's happened every time. In our personal lives, in business. I relate it to my 3-year-old who is going through some sleep issues right now, making me very tired. Oh. And just having kids. So any moms out there know that your kids, they have cycles, right? And just before you want to just go away, like just leave and never come back. They're not sleeping, or they're not eating, or they're talking back, or whatever, just that phase, or they won't stop breastfeeding, or whatever it is.
Right.
Just before that phase fades away, you feel like you're about to kill someone, and you are breaking down and having these breakdowns. And then they turn into little angels again. It's like magic. Like a week later, a couple days later, they turn into a little angel, and they're in this angel phase. And then that there'll be another phase that you just want to rip your hair out. But as soon as you're at your breaking point, it gets so much better. And so it's the same way with life. Every time we have had something happen where we just don't know why. Why are all of these things coming together in this way? And it's really hard.
Yeah.
our biggest breakthroughs come through and we either have our biggest income month or we have, our angel child that just fills us up with joy and love and makes us feel so amazing. Or Ray and I have the best romantic getaway ever if we've been having some marital issues, which every couple does,
Sure.
right? So if you feel like you're at your breaking point, I promise you something big is coming. And if you are out there listening to this, I want you to message me. And I've told this to so many of our clients, and this has happened. So they'll come to me and say, I'm putting in all this work and I'm not getting any signups and I know I'm doing it right and I just want to quit and I'm frustrated. And I'm like, congratulations, because you're about to get a huge breakthrough. And I want you to message me when you do. And without fail, again, may sound cliche, but without fail, within a couple weeks, I always get that message. And so just hang in there and see that it's happening for you, but you've got to look through it and know that all of this is happening for a reason, just to prepare you for what the next phase of life is.
You'll like this. Jill's on here, and she just said, Jessica for president.
I know, because I'm going through it right now. I'm very tired.
Yeah. Wow.
But I know the next phase is coming and it'll be all good.
Yeah, I told Jill, I'm like, I don't even remember what it's like waking up with you in our bed. Like every single night, like she's being summoned to Abigail's room. It's like, but like, so
that doesn't go away until 8, huh?
It still happens. Not as often though. But which is cool because then I can just, take up the whole bed. But,
sure.
But with that's such a good point because I've said that where Jill and I will be like, why did we just go through that? What's going on? We're working so hard. We're doing all these things and blah, 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 blah. Or my accounts receivables will be out of this world and nothing coming in and people not paying me. And I'm like, and of course that causes strain on a relationship too, especially if you're operating a business together. But, and I'll always go back to that and I'll say, this is good, actually. I know it doesn't feel like it at the moment, but that means something huge is getting ready to happen. Something big is getting ready to come for us. So,
just listening to a Bob Proctor training, actually, and he was talking about that. He said, you sow and there's a season for sowing and a season for reaping, but they don't happen in the same season.
That's right.
So you have to be prepared for that.
And you have to get, a lot of people don't realize, and you correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I know that if I went into a network marketing company, which I haven't done in a long time and gone in full bore and just, I'm going to get, people signed up. And if I did that, I've built up so much perpetuation in other areas of my life. I'm sure I could explode that if I really went all out on it. People don't realize how much work. It's like the 850,000 you were talking about. People do not realize how much work goes into all of it for years, in some cases, decades, before it finally hits, right? Yeah. Sharon Lecter wrote the book 3 Feet from Gold, right? And she's a friend of mine. She's been on the show. And it's so true. People give up right before their blessing.
Absolutely. And you just have to, that brings up a good point, because you just have to know that it's coming and enjoy the journey. As hard as it can be sometimes, if you aren't enjoying it, it's just going to be forcing it for you. And you don't want it to happen.
Just let it happen. That's right. Wow. So, you're how many children? You guys have how many children?
We have 3 altogether. Okay. So Ray has 2 older boys, and then we have our little 3-year-old Sabrina.
And she's amazing. She's beautiful.
Thank you.
She really is. You guys have a cute little girl there. I would tell Ray to make sure that he's keeping guns around for when she's older.
Oh, believe me. I'll tell you a funny story. I came home one day, and this was when I was pregnant, and we had just found out maybe a couple weeks before that it was a girl. And they told us, oh, the ultrasound technician says, oh, it's a girl. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm crying. And I look over and Ray's just like silent. I'm wondering, like, is he angry it's a girl? What's happening? I couldn't read him. And afterwards he was like, well, I'm just so nervous. I'm just so nervous for a girl. Oh, no. And so a couple weeks later I come home and I open some of our drawers and there's police batons in our drawer. And I'm like, why are there police batons in the kitchen and in our bathroom? He's like, you never know who's going to come in here. And so he had bought 4 police batons. He bought a taser. I'm not kidding. And we now have 2 baseball bats by our bed.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. But see, I get that. I've got 2 daughters. I get it. Like, oh my gosh. So you guys have a beautiful 3-year-old little girl. You've got a lot of amazing things happening. You were just on stage with Eric Worre.
His event, amazing event.
That's incredible. So what's the best way for everybody on here to follow you?
Yeah, so my husband and I are both on Facebook. For mine, you could go to facebook.com/Jessica Higdon page, or for Ray's, facebook.com/Ray Higdon page.
Right. Well, I already promoted Ray. I'm promoting you today.
Okay, well, then go to mine.
That's right. Everybody go follow Jessica. And then you guys are on Instagram. You do a lot on Instagram.
Yep, my handle is Jessica Higdon 99.
Jessica Higdon 99. And so, listen, I know how busy you are. You're a client of mine, and you guys have turned into great friends, and I'm very, very, very grateful for that. And I know how difficult it is sometimes to schedule an appointment with you because you're so busy. So thank you so much for taking the time. Do you ever have this happen, like you're in the middle of something important and a Java update pops up on your screen?
Oh yeah.
What the heck? Anyway, I'm just interviewing Jessica Higdon, So, if you would, if somebody would, and I want everybody, listen, can I tell how much it is to join Rank Makers?
Sure. Yeah.
So I couldn't believe it. It's only $20 a month to go in and receive their amazing training. So make sure that you, can somebody post Jill, if you would post the link, or somebody post the link, it's rankmakers.com, right?
Yes, rankmakers.com.
That's where everybody would go to sign up. I'm in there. Jill's in there. I'll tell on myself. I haven't been active at all. I've been so buried in projects. But
our project too.
Yeah, on your project as well. I've seen some of the material. It's incredible. You guys do incredible training. Your presence is phenomenal. Like, as I told Ray, I can't even open Facebook without seeing a dang Ray Higdon ad pop up. It's crazy.
Well, I think that's a good thing, hopefully.
It is a good thing. I'm like, go! He won't go away!
It's going to show up, in your room.
Right. Hey, it's me.
Hey, join Rank Makers.
Yeah.
Well, I just have to say that you and Jill are amazing people, and we're so looking forward to working with you guys more. And for anybody on here, obviously you're following Ken already, but if some of the people on my page see this, make sure that you reach out to them, see some of their stuff. They do a really great job with media and branding. So it's great to be on here.
I'm very, very grateful that you jumped on. So. Is there any, before we go, and we're going to go now, but is there any last words of getting somebody unstuck, the last words of getting somebody, just over that hump? What would you say? Just your last words of wisdom.
So I think many people, including myself, at times struggle with consistency. And Ray is a consistency machine. He's a consistency machine. And I'll tell you that I've learned a lot from him on how to be more consistent. And one thing that I've done that's really helped me with that is just doing one. So a lot of times you look at your prospect list or you look at, your social media friends and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to message all these people today. I got to do this. I got to do that. And just taking a step back and saying, you know what, I'm just going to do one right now. And just getting into the action of that one every day, you'll find that you start to do 2 and then 3 and then maybe 10 and maybe 15. And some days you don't, but it's much better than 0. And so if you just get yourself in the habit and build that muscle of just doing one even a day of whatever that is, prospecting, blogging, video, whatever.
Right.
If you just do one, you'll see that consistency muscle start to build and it'll really help you with your business. 90% of being successful is just showing up.
Right.
Most people don't show up. So.
Sorry, my microphone's acting weird now. But
I can hear
you hear me? Okay. So consistency is so important. Remember I said I was drawing a blank earlier. I just remembered what I wanted to say because you said something that made, and I don't remember what it was, but when at night before I go to bed, if I don't know what I'm doing the next day, if I don't have it kind of planned out, like I know what I'm getting up, I literally panic. And so many, like I can't take that, like not waking up and just being what Zig Ziglar would call a wandering generality, right? So like I can't take that, and so many people do that, and I can't relate to that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I used to be that way. Yeah. I mean, I definitely used to be that way, but it is very, very good practice to, before you go to bed, know, okay, what am I waking up in the morning? What's my intention?
Yeah. I love it. You've been an awesome interview. Thank you so much for being on. You're amazing. Everybody go to rankmakers.com. What'd you say?
I said, you're amazing.
But everybody go to rankmakers.com, and it is closed right now, but you can get on the waiting list to be in. Like, it's an amazing, amazing thing to join. And it's $20 a month. You spend more than that a week on Starbucks, and that's not good for you. So this is. So, and I don't, honestly, and I mean this, it doesn't matter if you're in network marketing or not. Like, anybody can learn from Ray gets in there and teaches some amazing things. Amazing. And I've seen you in there too. You guys rock. So go join Rank Makers now and follow Jessica Higdon's fan page. What is it? Jessica?
Yes. Yeah. Facebook.com/Jessica Higdon page.
Jessica Higdon page. Maybe somebody will post that link, or I'll go back and do it later. So Jessica, thank you so much. Hang out on Skype for a second. Thank you guys. Thank you to everyone who shared this out, by the way. And if you didn't share, remember, sharing is caring. You get back what you give out. So share this thing out. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, Jessica.